Hello, welcome everybody to Beyond the Fourth Wall. My name is 𝗕𝗲𝗆. I'm the artistic director of Fourth Wall Theater Company, and I'm here today with Renata Hinrichs and Jessi D. Renata is the writer and performer of Random Acts. Jessi D. is the director, and we're in the midst of working on the play right now, and we thought it might be a good time to talk about it and give you a heads up so you could go buy tickets. And maybe know a little bit about the piece before you walk in the door. So welcome, Renata and Jessi.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about first is the fact that this piece has changed from when you first did it, Renata, which I think is at the Barrow Group, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to now. And you've had several iterations. So I'd like the two of you to tell me about what happened at first and then what's changed for now.
We can start maybe.
Yeah, and then you can, So we had the opportunity to work at the Barrow Group and do a production there. And of course, that was 2019. And a pandemic happened, and and a lot of things during that time changed in the world, and I had a chance to work on the play.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Renata, I wanted to jump in because I don't think everybody who might watch this knows what the Barrow Group is. And also, let's go back even a step. How did the Barrow Group figure in the gestation of this piece?
Oh, yes, thank you. So I developed it. So the very first time it was developed under the Fab Women, a developmental group of the Barrow Group, led by Lee Brock, one of the co-artistic directors of the Barrow Group. And it was to help promote women and writers and try new things. And I had never really written anything about my personal life before. And at the time, this was about, 2013, 2012. This story about this boy who helped me on my way to kindergarten kept kind of coming into my consciousness. And I got up, we started developing work by having one-night stands. So we could kind of get up and try new material and just kind of wing it if we wanted to, or do a monologue or whatever. And I just thought, I'll just try this extemporaneously, kind of telling this story. And when I finished that evening, Lee was like, this would make a really good solo show. And I was like, no way. I was like, no, I hate solo shows. No one wants to hear about my life, Anyway, she's like, well, we're doing a solo festival, and I, think about it, blah, blah, blah. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, maybe I could do 10 minutes, and and then that 10 minutes, it was like, oh, keep going, so that's where it really started. And so yes, I owe a lot to the Barrow Group, and they're helping me to develop it and kind of champion it and all that. And I had other chances to workshop it and stuff like that around. Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Barrow Group is in New York City, where you both live most of the time.
Yes.
Good. Just in case no one.
Yes.
Can catch up on that. Okay, so that and that stuff I didn't know, by the way. That's awesome.
Okay.
So now you have a production that happens at the Barrow Group, and
and we were talking about this earlier. It was kind of like a first draft. We were it was the first time we had ever had a chance to really do any kind of production. Of course, as a solo show, it evolves. Right? It just keeps evolving and changing, and you see things as you do it, and you realize, okay, maybe it needs this or that. After I did that in 2019, I was trying to find places, what would be next for this production. And I guess we can get into the story of how, I happened to be, Kim was at the Barrow Group to do some classes, and we were in the audience for Martin Moran, his solo piece, and over the years, Kim and I have a mutual friend named Chris Campbell, and she was always like, "You've got to meet Kim. Do you know Kim? I think she, you know," and as the play developed, she was like, "You know, I think Kim should see, you know, should she see this?" And so I sit next to Kim in the audience of this solo show with Martin Moran, and you know, we struck up a conversation, and eventually she saw the play, and anyway, that's why I am here. I got here to Houston, so that's amazing.
Wonderful chance.
Wonderful chance.
Yeah.
Yes, and so during the pandemic, I had a chance to do it outside and work on it and explore it. And I really, during that exploration, I really thought that I would love to bring Willie's perspective into it. And I don't know, I mean, I'm giving something away or not, but if people haven't seen the show, there's a character that that's in the show that is a boyfriend of my past. And so we just thought it would be great to have a chance to involve his side of the story. And I reached out to Willie, and we've been talking over the years anyway, but I thought, I approached him about it. He had seen the show. He'd shown his kids, and he's like, "Yeah, Renata, you got some things wrong." And I was like, "Well, you know, it's a play. I can't get everything right." But anyway, what I loved is that his kids really loved it. They were like, "Dad, you gave into peer pressure," and you know, and he was like, "Yeah, I know." And anyway, they're teenagers, so they really gave him a lot of shit. But anyway, but he was open to having these conversations recorded, and yeah.
So Willie's conversations, that he allowed you to tape some of them, and some of them are now in this iteration in Houston and have never been part of the show before, right?
No. Right.
Very good. And Jessi, when did you get involved with the show?
2014.
And was that for the first production that was seen at the Barrow?
That was one of many readings and workshops. Yeah, early draft.
So before the Barrow Group show.
Oh yeah, well before. Yeah.
And then Renata said that you said you did it outside, and I'm pretty sure I know what that means. But Jessi, were you involved in the outside productions?
No. Well, involved in the sense that she was generally executing the staging and the draft that we had ended up with after the Barrow Group, but no, I didn't work. We didn't rehearse together during.
So let's get specific, Renata. What did doing it outside?
Okay, doing outside. So I was approached by the guy who did our PR for the Barrow Group in 2019, and he's like, you know, I think he was putting together, he was just trying to find ways for performers to work, and he also wanted to work. And he had found this way to that we could be outside, for instance, in Central Park with enough distance, you know, to be safe with COVID. It was before the vaccines were available. And we used an app that tour operators used, so that everyone would be linked to this app. We'd be connected to earphones, and we could be at a distance and everyone would be able to hear me. Yeah, so it was this really interesting way to explore. It's like making art in COVID. You know, you just get really creative in what you do. And it was really challenging to be to be in Central Park, people walking, you know, you'd have to get a place where like no one's going to walk behind you or something like that. But eventually he found there's a theater in Chelsea that had a back door called the Cell Theater, and it's a townhouse, and they have an outdoor garden with this. It's enclosed with a beautiful like porch area and place for audience, and it was all outside. So that actually I worked there several times in the fall and then the spring, and just was able to try some new things with it, you know, try some new material. Some I discovered didn't work, you know, but it was a great opportunity to just keep working. And yeah, so when it became a chance to actually come here and do the show, You know, a lot of it was already kind of in my body already, and I was kind of ready to go. But then we had this chance to really explore it, add this new material, and
So let me, some of our viewers will have seen the taped version that you did at the Barrow group. And
Yeah.
one thing that I think isn't obvious is that you were sharing that set and light design with another or some other shows. So
Yes.
you didn't have the opportunity to do the technical stuff that we're doing at Fourth Wall. Is
No.
that correct?
That's
Correct.
So Jessie, would you describe what you are adding to the show technically?
Yeah, so, well, going a step backwards, and we were also just talking about this, we never had the luxury with the exception of a sound design. We were developing in the room with a sound designer in our first draft, thinking that Renata really was going to do it on park benches and street corners, wherever she wanted. And that if we could get a sound design to really tell the story of time and space, that it would be self-contained. So that was really what we were trying to do the first time. We've never, I would say it's different. So in the sense that we've never had a lighting designer, a set designer, sound designer fully focused on just rendering the show until coming to Houston with this incredible team that we're working with. So we're seeing things in the story that we've never even had the luxury of thinking about, because in the first draft, we were very busy trying to make the shared resources that were being offered to us work for the show, which is an entirely different collaborative experience. So this opportunity that we're getting here is so gratifying to be able to, I would say design-wise, we're raising the bar substantially in terms of telling the story in a very clear, focused way.
Yeah. As a producer, I'm delighted to hear that. I'd like to just give a quick shout out to sound designer Zepeda, lights designer Dan Jones, projection designer Joe Engler, and stage manager Spear, by the way. An awesome
Awesome crew.
Houston team, and I'm very happy to you know, cross-pollination is kind of something that Fourth Wall hasn't been able to do a lot of, and I'm really happy that it's happening in this production, and you know, have plans to do it more.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
thank you guys for being part of that. Did I leave anybody out? I hope not.
Oh, Santiago.
Oh, Santiago Sepeda, no
Yes.
relation to Jazz. Is
Yes.
our carpenter and sort of de facto set designer, because we don't really have one. It's a very simple stage, and so Santiago is making it look beautiful and giving us something to project interesting photos and other stuff on.
No, definitely.
Awesome. Well, you guys, is there anything else on your mind that you would want a potential Houston audience to know about Random Acts? That's called an open-ended question. Always the best strategy.
Well, then another thing that we've really been able to do, and I'd be very curious to hear feedback. I'm sorry I won't be here for the run, but may be back in touch with you, Philip, if you got any feedback on this. And of course, Renata, the thrust seating configuration in the theater is very different from what we were sort of dealing with in the Barrow group, which is a kind of pretty substantial proscenium, very deep proscenium setup. So we really were able to very much lean into embracing the choreography and dance portion of this version, because the way the audience experiences the piece in this version is so round and open.
360.
So that's also been really fun to explore.
It's a curious thing. I was talking with Kim, my wife and co-founder of Fourth Wall, about this the other day, and that there are not, unless I'm totally ignorant, New York favors a proscenium configuration. There
Often,
are
absolutely. Yeah,
Very
I
few
think maybe
spaces.
there's one. Is it roundabout? Anyway,
Yeah,
Well,
there's
and
a
the circle in the
few.
square.
Circle in the Square. That was it. That's it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that's a big
yeah,
Broadway
Yeah.
house,
yeah.
but
No.
there very few shows I've seen in New York are 3/4 or in the round. I've seen some what I would call alley productions where it's, seats on two sides. I've seen shows like that in New York, but man, it's like, why is that true? And in Houston, there's quite a lot of in the round, and
Oh.
for whatever reason, yeah. So I think it's awesome. I keep saying awesome. I think it's great that to challenge directors and performers to work in a 3/4 or in the round situation. It's
I mean, I love
Yeah.
arena is my jam. I love working in the round.
Yeah.
And you're right that those opportunities don't really come up that often in New York. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited about that.
another reason for us to cross-pollinate in the future. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. Well, because I tell you, it's going to sound like a commercial for the show, but I've watched it on tape twice now, and I've seen a Zoom rehearsal run through, and then I watched you run through the play without any tech on the first day of tech. And all 4 times, I just find myself weeping. It's so moving, Renata and Jessi. It's just an amazingly moving story. You said at the beginning of the show, I hate one-person shows or solo shows. And for some reason, a lot of people have a prejudice against them. And I think I'm the same. But every time I watch this play, I just find myself in a puddle of, cathartic, good feeling tears. And I hope people will listen to me and come and have a similar experience. Yeah. So, and it's, I laugh too. It's not like it's like you come out and stab people in the eye. That kind of. It's, there's a lot of humor in the show, and there's and you mentioned, did you start out as a dancer?
Yes. That's my first discipline. I mean, it's part of the play. It's like I was walking at 8 months. I've been moving. My mom was like, you were actually walking at, I was just boom. And I've always been a mover. And so that was my first art form. Yeah.
I could not walk at 8 months, but I was doing crossword puzzles.
Wow.
Well, that's impressive.
So you've been a mover, and you were you a professional dancer?
I was a professional dancer. Yeah.
Where was that?
So that was in New York. I left when I left high school. I came to New York, and I got a scholarship at the Harkness Dance Center, and I started in classical ballet, but then had an injury that kind of took me into the modern dance world and downtown experimental theater, which led to acting work and say these lines when you're doing this thing across there. And it's like, I don't know this acting thing. I better get to a class. So that's what brought me to acting. And and then I joined Big Dance Theater and they combined acting and dancing. So I was with them. I was one of their founding members. I was with them for like 10 years. And
Well, so I have 2 things. So for our audience, it's very clear that Renata was a dancer. I didn't know until now that she was a professional dancer, and that makes perfect sense. There's a lot of wonderful movement, and you can tell that you have been trained, and now I know you were a pro. And it's another charming thing about this piece. Wow, but I want to know, how did you start training as an actor? Where did you go to start training as an actor? Was it the Barrow group from the get-go, or did you bounce around?
Yeah, I first started at 𝗕𝗲𝗏𝗏 studio, and 𝗕𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, and worked with a woman named Carol Fox-Prescott very early on. And that's where I met Chris Campbell, who then went to the Barrow group and was like, you've got to come to the Barrow group, and that's when I started training there. And that
Yeah.
was like late 90s, I guess. Yeah.
I'm a big believer in training, in actor training, and all kinds of training.
Yeah.
And Jessie, I'm curious. I know a little bit of this, but I think our audience might be interested. What's your training?
It's pretty vast as far as directing is concerned.
Yeah.
I have an undergraduate degree in directing and a graduate degree in directing. It's all I've ever done. But I was very lucky that in order to even get to the directing portion of what I needed to do in my studies, I was treated as an actor in both of those situations up to a point. So training at Yale, for example, one of the wonderful things about that school is the directors really are invited to think of themselves as actors there. So, you know, you're taking, at the time I was taking the, you know, the voice class, the movement class, the Shakespeare class, the scene study class with Ron Van Loo, and have always gotten the luxury of exploring myself as an actor through my directing training. So I actually think of myself as an actor. I actually am an actor who's never acted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well,
So,
it makes a lot of sense to me
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
you know, when a director understands what we have to do, I've worked with so many directors who don't seem to have a clue. And so then as an actor, you have to kind of do it yourself. And then they get really happy the last 2 days of rehearsal because finally they see something arrive and they're like, what were you doing the whole time?
I tell people that I'm an actor in a director's body.
I like that.
That's true.
Was Evan Yanulis part of your training?
Evan actually was exiting as head of the program when I started. Ron Van Loo's first year was my first year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just meant, no one knows in the fourth wall land who those people are, but Ron Van Loo was the longtime teacher at Yale, and every actor that I know who went through Yale considers him an absolute wizard or god or something like that. And Evan, a woman, Evan Yanulis, is now the head of my alma mater, Juilliard. Been there for 3 years now, something like that.
Cool.
I've been lucky enough to meet with her a couple times because of our summer program that involves Juilliard students. So I found her charming and brilliant, and so
yeah, great.
Yeah, there's a when you deal with untrained people, it's a different deal, and it's okay, and it's okay to teach people and bring people up, but training just makes everything go so well. You can skip a few steps, right?
Especially when you notice that, you know, we've even in our you know, brief conversations, Philip, where you find all the places where you overlap in training with other people and connections that you have. That's always kind of a wonderful thing to discover if you've been trained by somebody who has a, you know, 6-degree separation connection to your training.
Well, yeah, and you know, as I recall, Ron Van Loo, who we were talking about a minute ago, taught for many years at NYU, right?
NYU, yeah.
So all these people who went through the NYU MFA program got trained by him, and now Yale, and
then Columbia,
and then Columbia, and was at Yale and Juilliard, and I know a bunch of teachers. So Michael Kahn taught both at Juilliard and NYU, and you know, I mean, all these people. Many of us have been trained by the same people, and so we have a shorthand, and I think it's a good thing. Some people might disagree, but they're not on this show.
Indeed.
You guys, we've run far afield from random acts in the last minute or two here. I could just bring it back and tell people tickets are on sale on the Fourth Wall website, and there's a phone number on our website that you can find, and probably it'll pop up on the screen in a minute, or all that stuff. And I sure hope you come out to see Random Acts. It starts February 17th. There are only 8 performances. It goes through February 27. And it's just one of the most moving things I've seen in a long time. I'm proud to call myself a producer of it.
Beyond the Fourth Wall is produced by Fourth Wall Theater Company Houston's home for extraordinary performances up close. Each guest is paid for their appearance on this series, in accordance with our mission to pay artists a living wage. Follow the links in the video description to learn more about Fourth Wall, to purchase tickets, or to make a tax-deductible donation.